Honor everyone, honor everyone that's watching, everyone that's joining the chat. At I am Q, honor to you, brother. Wenzel Duckworth, Copper Hot Step, honor to you, brother. Michi Butterfly, Eye Candy Juno, honor to you, honor. All right, let me just hit this screen share before we get into it. All right, so I managed to grab a couple audio clips, grab a couple audios that I want to play for you guys. But I just want to read two articles. I'm not going to stay too long on here. I just want to read two articles, right? One is from, where is it? Give me 1 second here. One is from the FDA, and this is from statnews.com. Okay. And we're going to get into those two articles, and then I want to play a few audio clips from you guys. Because the last live that I did, I'm going towards what's happening is a radiation thing. Okay. There's been folks that's been talking about the 5G. Wait till this weekend when I do the live part two of the live that I did the other day. Okay. And when I do that live, I'm going to show y'all the economical breakdown of what they're trying, what they are not trying. They are doing it. This is just what it is, people. They are doing it. The only thing you can do is best prepare for what is to come. They're doing it. It's going to happen. There's no stopping it. That's my opinion. Right? It's been too far ahead. A lot of, now speaking for the Negro, well, not speaking for, but speaking to the Negro population of the Americas, you let your guard down when you saw Obama in office and thought he was your president. And still to this very day, you still can't tell some of them that this man, still to this very day, you can't tell some of them that this man literally put the nail in their coffin. Literally. But this is a process of what you see going on here that has started from before Obama was in office, before Bush was in office, before Clinton was in office. This is something that has been in plan for over 60 years. This is why when I was going back to what tritium is and pulling up the history on the coronavirus to show you that it's something that's been going on for years. The creation of the coronavirus goes back to Germany. That's a fact. This version that they're speaking of in China, it was not created in China. It was created in Germany. And I'm going to let y'all hear a couple audios. One is from a doctor named Sherry Fink that came on MSNBC, and she's going to break down the different strands of the coronavirus. And if you guys remember the live that I did, I believe it was last week on the coronavirus, the first one that I did where I broke down the history, I'm going to put the link to that live also in the description box and in the top of the comment section when I'm finished with this right here. Okay. But I pulled up the documentations and share the documentations with you guys on the history of what is called the coronavirus. And that the coronavirus is influenza, it is SARS, it is the common cold, it is all these different strands of sickness, of viruses, is the coronavirus. The most important thing for people to do is pay attention to wording when people are speaking. Pay attention to the words that they use, how they use it, in the format that they use it. Make sense out of nonsense. Learn how to pick apart information and what these people are actually saying when they are speaking to you. If you cannot do that, you will always take someone's word as law and run with it and put yourself in a world of trouble if you cannot go out there and research for yourself. This is highly important for folks to be independent and go out and research for themselves. Don't take what I say, don't take what anyone says. Research for yourself. I am not a doctor, I am not a scientist, I am not a lawyer, I am not no form of medical expert. I just went and researched, pulled up the origin of this coronavirus. What is it linked to? What is it connected to? It is a respiratory virus. Why is that important? Why is the coronavirus being a respiratory virus important to tritium? What is tritium? Why is tritium related or has connection with sarin gas? What is sarin gas? Why is tritium has relations with 5G? What is 5G? There is a major connection here. Like I said, this is a spider web of multiple different issues, all going back to one source. And all these multiple different issues that goes back to one source is still playing and completing an agenda. It doesn't matter which one of the agendas they get to push through fully. They hit you with at least 1,000 different agendas because they know no matter what, some of them is going to go through. And then they continue on the plan to make sure that the rest go through, even if it takes 1,000 years. Got to open your eyes to be able to look at things inside and outside the box from all angles. Otherwise, you're going to be lost in translation. Okay. So let's get into this here because there's many agendas at play. But the biggest agenda is it's not that they are killing the American dollar, the US dollar. The US dollar has been dead from the day it was created. It wasn't meant for you, the people in the pub. It wasn't meant for you. It was a debt. It was to give them a cushion from a debt. It wasn't supposed to have went on this long. So now what you're seeing going on with social engineering, social distancing, everyone is now on the internet. This is a big social experiment also to say, hey, let's see if we could get people to stop interacting with each other and pay more attention to the internet. Let them interact with each other via internet. And that's what everyone is doing. Why? Because they're now introducing a whole new system of cyber relations. Okay? The new currency that is coming into play is going to go into the cryptocurrency. Okay? And the reason why cryptocurrency isn't going anywhere, because they already started taxing it. If you're buying currencies, cryptos through Cash App, through what is it? Acorn. What is the other app? Let me look on my list here. Give me a sec. Through Robinhood, blockchain, they are giving you tax forms to fill out because that is the new currency. They have Bitcoin Gold, USA coin, the USA coin. This is what it's going into. So if you don't have anything as assets, equity, property, a business, gold, silver, digital currency, because it's going into the digital age because they're forcing you to do the Real ID Act. In Texas, they're turning down people illegally and unlawfully that do not have a real ID. Now, peep, this is to shut down the Americas. This is not to shut down anywhere else, because once you lock down the Americas and have the Americas being ruled by an iron hand, you control the world. In Texas, you can be what they call an illegal alien and go in and get your driver's license. But if you are originally from the Americas and you're going in to go get a driver's license and you already had a driver's license but it expired, you want to renew it, or you came from another state to a different to Texas and you want to get your Texas license, they're asking you for birth certificate, social security, they're asking you for a passport, they're asking you for all these things. But whom they call illegal aliens, foreigners, they're not asking them for none of those things. Because the whole thing is to lock you underneath the Real ID Act. And the whole thing is to get these illegal immigrants these type of IDs also, so that they can also be trackable. Okay? Everything is going digital. The US dollar is not worth the toilet paper you use to wipe your booty with. They've declared bankruptcy from 1933. And corporation that is bankrupt can only but so much sustain itself for so long before the whole thing falls and crumble. Within that meantime, greed of these corporate CEOs still kicked in, and they've sucked and bled every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears out of you while they poisoned you, made you sick purposely so that their pharmaceutical industries can rape the little that you have. Okay? Pay attention. You've been they've been poisoning you for over 100 years with radiation. With radiation. Tritium, krypton. Krypton is linked to 5G. This is why kryptonite was Superman's weakness. You have artificial radiation and you have organic that comes from the sun that is healthy for you. And then you have the organic, the artificial, which is the GMO version that is not healthy for you. That makes you sick. And that's what they've been hitting you with. Krypton and tritium, just like sarin, are gases that stays in the atmosphere for a great amount of time. Some stay in the atmosphere for 10 years. So every 10 years, when it's about to expire, they have to respray it all over again. Okay? These gases, when they're expiring, they turn into liquid that looks like water. It has no smell, it has no taste, and it's falling back into your water supply, your drinking water supply. COVID-19 is just another strain of the original coronavirus that they created. It's still coronavirus, which is influenza, which is SARS, which is bronchitis. All of these are corona. So when you're going to go get tested, these tests are not 100% accurate. A lot of them are false hits. Because even people that don't have this strain that they're speaking of are getting hit with a false hit. And that's done to inflate the numbers, to put you in a panic. But anywho, let's read this first article here. Then we're going to read, I have 2 articles and then a couple audio clips that I want to play for you guys. And, we wrap it up from there. Let me turn this notification off from this phone. Okay. Again, let me say honor to everyone that is joining in the chat, honor to everyone that's in the chat, and hope you guys are, having a wonderful day. And they have you quarantining yourself. They have you separating yourself from each other. They're telling parents, well, if your child have it or your child is sick, just lock them in a room and just go and give them the medicine and then get out the room and so on and so on. Another thing is, it is also your fault to the extent of how this thing has gotten out of hand, because you've lost your way from nature. You've become self-dependent on a pharmaceutical industry that history shows, for the most part, don't have your best interests at heart and have been purposely making you ill from its conception. But you have holistic doctors out there, and especially you folks that come from the islands or you folks that come from the South, that actually have your great grandmother or grew up seeing your great grandmother and your grandmother living long, healthy lives off of the herbs and the holistic treatments that they've always treated themselves with, and you turned against it. If the commercial medications aren't working for you, try holistic. It doesn't hurt to try. But this generation is not trying to hear that. The generation before isn't trying to hear that. I'm not saying all, but there's a good portion of y'all out there. Otherwise, you want to be self-quarantining yourself off these streets like that. And you wouldn't be, in my opinion, falling for this psyops, this worldly psyops. Okay? If this is such a pandemic, I want one person in the chat to name 20 people that they know has this virus. 20 people that you know have this virus. You can't do it. They're showing lines of people at New York City hospitals outside, set up with barricades. And they're saying these are the people that are infected. That's misinformation, because Cuomo was telling folks to go down to the hospitals, go through their drive-through checkouts. They got drive-through checkouts where you go get checked where you don't even have to come out your car. And that's what the line was for. No one knows if those people were infected with anything or not. And then you have them staging, because now they have clips of people showing these folks outside on lines. This is how the lines was looking in New York, right? These lines. These folks came down to get tested. Okay? See? People line up to get tested for COVID-19. Elmhurst. Now, the thing with Elmhurst Hospital, Creedmoor, and these other hospitals, they're propaganda hospitals. Creedmoor is more of a psychiatric mental facility, but they have allegedly, they have no preparations for supposedly what's going on right now. And the government has transported supposed COVID-19 patients to Creedmoor. And they have no preparations. They have no setup to how to handle this situation. Period. None. So you're going into work and the environment is set for you to contract something and get sick. A sister works for the post office. I know a sister that works for the post office. She caught the flu, right? But they said this is a epidemic that's going on. She caught the flu and she took off. She called her doctor. She went down to her doctor. The doctor, she thought she had COVID-19. The doctor told her to stop watching the news because not even a doctor herself watches the news of the foolishness that's going on. But anyway, she let her job know that she's sick. She's not coming in. She didn't even get to the point to what she has. Her bosses were still telling her it doesn't matter. She still have to come to work. Does that sound like we're in a epidemic to you? Or does it sound like certain facilities are purposely trying to make either people sick or just know that this is just a dumbass ploy? Now, this person works for a governmental facility that I'm speaking of, okay? This is not a he said, she said thing. I was there. Pay attention. Speak to folks that are in New York. Don't let people tell you, well, I saw this Facebook video. Screw that. Ask them what did they see with their own eyes in real life, right? Then ask them how they knew if the test is accurate, and ask them what they know about the history of Corona, and ask them what is their medical history. But anyway, let's get into it. Give me a second, people. Give me a second. Let's set this up on my phone. Set this up on my phone. Okay. So this is COVID-19 testing, overcoming challenges in the next phase of the epidemic. Whatever. Let me see if this is the right article. Which is a better proxy for estimating the COVID-19 infection rate in the United States, the infection rate in the NBA, or the infection rate in China or Italy? The answer to that question reveals some of the pitfalls of diagnostic COVID-19 testing. Kevin Durant, Rudy Gobert, and at least 8 other NBA players tested positive for COVID-19. Mind you, Kevin Durant has a history of contracting the flu around this time of the year. But anyway, of COVID-19, the Jazz, Pistons, Nets, Lakers, and Celtics have all reported at least one positive test results for an active player, with 10 detected cases among the roughly 75 standard contract players on these teams. If this is representative of the rest of the NBA, then 13% of players are positive. even if every other NBA team tested all its players and found no other positive results. A strong and doubtful assumption. The prevalence of COVID-19 in the league would be about 2%, and that is the low end of the possible range. See, these are all guesses and assumptions. If 2% sounds low to you, here's a reference point. Worldwide, at the time we write this, there have been 466,955 detected cases among 7.8 billion people. Now, out of this, now, if you look at the numbers, they're saying over 200 or something thousand, I think, in New York alone, or in the United States alone, has been detected cases. Or is it 400 or some thousand they were saying? Anyway, today, right now, right? Now, this is saying 466,955 detected cases among 7.8 billion people in the world. This translates into a cumulative incidence of 0.0060%. Because of limited testing, the actual number of cases is likely much higher. China and Italy have hit the hardest with approximately 82,000 cases identified in China. But China has theirs on the wraps right now. And out of these 82,000 cases, I'm going to try to find the article. Cuba gave them a vaccine that supposedly cured 79,000 out of the 82,000 cases. Okay, Cuba. And 74,000 in Italy. Could the NBA have several thousand times the rate of COVID-19 to the rest of the world? Probably not. Either way, despite questions raised about the COVID-19 fatality rate, the epidemic is devastating major healthcare systems. It's really not devastating major healthcare systems because they're about to rape your pockets soon. Watch, including Italy and China. All eyes now are on New York City battling a surge in cases requiring ICU admissions. Our program has been tracking infections for years. If reviewing statements and reports of some policymakers, health experts, and the media, we worry about a collective amnesia. For all we have learned about the difficulty of understanding the results of diagnostic testing. There are two broad issues worth understanding for COVID-19 diagnostic testing. The first issue relates to who gets tested. Due to an extreme paucity of kits in the United States, testing has been done mainly on people with convincing symptoms or who have been in contact with people diagnosed with COVID-19. If testing is performed on a wider population sample, the incidence of COVID-19 will likely prove to be much higher than currently reported because it's radiation poisoning, in my opinion. Well, what the information that I've researched is showing, it's radiation poisoning. That would be both bad news and good news. The bad news is that it could mean that the Pan, the demonic god, Pan, the pedophile god, Pan, the perverted god, Pan, is more advanced than we thought. The good news is that a higher number of COVID-19 infections would make the case fatality rate lower than current estimates because we would be dividing by a larger number of cases. None of this should make sense. The second issue relates to the test itself. Here we go. The second issue relates to the test itself. There is already a growing concern that the diagnostic test for COVID-19 is not perfect. It's not accurate. It may come back positive in some people who are not infected, pay attention, with SARS-CoV-2. Okay? So coronavirus is also SARS. Pay attention. And negative in some people who are. Diagnostic tests are developed with both sensitivity and specificity in mind. The greater the sensitivity, the less likely it will miss real cases. The greater the specificity, the more likely uninfected individuals will be correctly deemed negative. And here they got their little chart. Like, I'm going to give you all a link to this article. The test is not accurate from what this article is saying. Okay. Give you guys a link here. Share article. It goes in the chat. All right. So people are running, breaking their necks to go get tested, staying off the streets, messing up your own economy because only you can save what is left of the economy. Okay. And you're just doing yourself in. You're not asking questions. You're not asking your politicians any questions. You're just taking their word for it. And now there's been a freeze in job hiring. No one is hiring. Well, no one in these specific states, New York, New Jersey, I believe Connecticut, they're not hiring. Down south is still hiring. I know that because I know brothers and sisters that just got hired at specific places in the South. Right? Oh, and much respects to my peoples out there in Raleigh. I was out there a few weeks ago. You know, a lot of love. Showed me a lot of love. But anyway, the test is not accurate. Okay? Now, let me close this out. Let's go to the other article. To the FDA. Now, y'all see SARS is also coronavirus. Influenza is coronavirus. The common cold is coronavirus. This is from FDA.gov. Coronavirus COVID-19 update. FDA expedites review of diagnostic tests to combat COVID-19. The Food and Drug Administration. This is March 30, 2020. Commissioner of Food and Drug Administration, Stephen M. Hahn, MD. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has been providing unprecedented flexibility to labs and manufacturers to develop and offer COVID-19 tests across the U.S. The FDA's regulations have not hindered or been a roadblock to the rollout of tests during this pandemic. There you go again. They don't call it epidemic. They calling it a pandemic. Pan is the demonic god, the pedophile god. Okay? Every action the FDA has taken during this public health emergency to address the COVID-19 pandemic has balanced the urgent need to make diagnostic tests available, with providing a level of oversight that ensures accurate tests are being deployed. Moreover, as in previous emergencies, the FDA has been extremely proactive and supportive of test development by all comers, laboratories, and large and small commercial manufacturers. What I tell you, see how the first article said that it was going to hit like the pharmaceutical industry? No, it's not. It's not going to hit the pharmaceutical industry because commercial manufacturers is the pharmaceutical industry. It's going to boost them. They're going to be caking off of this. Anyway, offering our expertise and support to speed development and to quickly authorize tests that the science supports. It is not the FDA's role to develop tests or decide what tests a healthcare professional uses. Pay attention. Our role is to determine if the tests developed by others provide accurate and reliable results. Well, they don't. Even when some would prefer that we let tests on the market without evidence that they work. It's critical that the tests used work. False results can also contribute to the spread of COVID-19. We want our treatments to be tested for effectiveness and reviewed by the FDA. We want the same for our tests, assurances that they are accurate and effective. Developing a test. Typically with an emerging health threat, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, is the first developer of a diagnostic test in the US. Mind you, Cuba already have a vaccine for this supposed virus before these people have been talking about creating or coming up with a system to create something for a test or to create a vaccine. Cuba already has a vaccine. Cuba's 2 hours away from American soil, 2 hours away from the U.S. corporation. Anyway, where are we? The first developer of diagnostic tests in the U.S. Samples of the virus are crucial to confirming the accuracy of the test. Samples of the virus. CDC has first access to viral samples that other test developers do not. CDC also manufactures their own tests for distribution to their national network for public health labs. In this pandemic, CDC encountered problems manufacturing their test. FDA assisted CDC in their work to resolve the issue and utilize a commercial manufacturer to make tests for any laboratory, not only public health labs. But mind you, the CDC is the only one to certain samples. So certain commercial manufacturers can't have specific samples of the virus. Only the CDC can have that. Pay attention. Manufactured to make tests for any laboratory, not only public health labs. Viral samples became commercially available to private sector test developers in later February. Viral samples became commercially available to private sector test developers in later February. Private sector. When the National Institutes of Health partner by BEI resources began selling vials of the virus grown from material provided by the CDC. They were selling companies had the ability to develop their own test in the US. The COVID-19 outbreak did not change this. Once a developer has a viral sample, they can confirm the accuracy of their test very quickly, usually in 2 or 3 days. In the future, making viral samples available earlier to commercial developers will be crucial to deploying tests quickly. Moreover, CDC's test should be manufactured by a commercial entity with the requisite expertise. Timeline of FDA support for test developers. So it's not only the CDC that's doing testing, there's many commercial companies out there doing testing. So when they're speaking of these tests, all of these companies are not running accurate testing, but they're still throwing it in the numbers on y'all. Okay? Since the beginning of January, the FDA has worked with more than 230 test developers who have or are expected to submit requests for FDA emergency authorization of their test. To date, 20 authorizations have been granted. In addition, more than 110 laboratories have notified the FDA that they have begun using their own test. Pay attention. For interested developers, the FDA provided recommendations for how to check a test for accuracy as well as short form to make it easy to share their test information quickly in support of an emergency use authorization. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Emergency use authorization authorities. An AUA, an EUA put into place by Congress is a relaxed standard that allows tests to be made available based on less data than in non-urgent circumstances and allows for expedited FDA review. In many cases, the FDA can do this review in as little as a day, which it has done repeatedly. EUA authority is not a barrier to test availability. FDA Policy Updates. The FDA recognized the urgent need for even faster testing availability. Although laboratories could use the EUA pathway, many were hesitant or didn't know the pathway was available to them. To respond to this need, the FDA revised the process to allow labs to begin testing prior to FDA review of their validation data. This policy change was an unprecedented action to expand access to testing. Nevertheless, in the first week, only 6 laboratories took advantage of this further streamlined process because many laboratories did not have a test or did not have the viral samples to check the accuracy of their test, because only the CDC can have certain samples of the virus, which is what is said in here. Okay? The FDA has and will continue to play a pivotal role, yada yada yada. So if you can make sense out of nonsense, they can't give you, majority of these places that are doing these testing cannot give you an accurate hit on if you have COVID-19 or not, or if you have the flu on the flu of the corona flu, or if you have SARS, they can't tell you which version of it you have because they don't have specific samples. And then the test is just not accurate. Okay. Now, let me get my phone here. Give me a second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Mm-hmm. All right, so I want to play something for you guys. All right, give me a second. All right, so I'm going to replay back these audios in this weekend's live. Also, this weekend coming up live this Saturday. This Saturday's live, right? But I can play it now for you guys right here. We get into this. 1 second, y'all. Pull up this article, this audio. Now, this first one is of a TSA agent. Okay. So Saturday we're going to show you the picture of the TSA agent. Okay, and this came from Audit in America. It was called Audit in America. This audio that I clipped here, right? Because I'm telling you guys, what's going on is radiation poisoning, and it's been going on every year under disguise as the flu, this and that, so on and so. It's always been radiation poisoning. Okay, and everything that you're using in today's society has radiation in it. All right, where these people can create and invent things that don't carry a specific form of radiation to where it makes you sick. Okay, and 5G, the 5Gs, these are antennas. They're antennas. Antennas are used to boost signals. Okay, to as boosters, pretty much. So if the antenna is used as a booster, that means there's something already within the atmosphere that it's boosting. All right, Johnny Boy, thank you, Johnny Boy. I think there was someone else earlier that also put something in the. All right, let's play the audio.
You can get infected with.
Hold on.
The federal government and the failure. You can go through the whole process.
All right, here we go. This is it here. We're gonna start off first with the TSA agent with this.
You can go through the whole process without being touched. You have, and then not only that, but no, radiation is through everything. The sun emits radiation. True, but that cell phone creates more radiation because actually the machine in there. I would also argue also the plane that you're getting on emits 20 times the amount of radiation that you get in a single flight. If you work the radiation to be on your phone for 7 hours. Did you know that? I did not know that. Yes, and it's not chill. The engines are complete radiation. They emit radiation, and it's only a thin layer of steel that goes right through it. Everything here is protected. I would so say safer here with lower emissions and radiation.
All right, so they were protesting going through the metal detectors about the radiation, right? Until the TSA agent started letting them know, like, yo, your cell phone emits radiation. Yes, the metal detector emits radiation, but the engines on the plane emits 20 times more radiation on the plane that you're taking, and there's nothing covering it to protect you from getting radiation poisoning from the engines on the very plane that you're traveling on. Okay? Another thing why these things are important, because the gas that is in the atmosphere and that is within our drinking water now, right? Which is radioactive, right? Which is tritium, krypton. It's many things that's in there. These are parts of what makes liquid explosive. Remember, they're telling you, oh, well, you can't carry a certain amount of liquid on the planes because of liquid explosive, right? These are the things that make liquid explosive. Okay. Now, let's play another audio. This is going to be I think it's Dr. Fauci. I think it's Dr. Fauci. Let's see. And that was a TSA agent. And I'm going to show y'all this weekend. I could back it up that it was a TSA agent that literally told this guy this. Because these guys and everything that you've seen going around, the fear mongering, because powers are being transferred from one source to another, okay? They're gutting the Constitution that was put in place to protect you or we, the people. They're gutting it, pushing fear for you to give up your freedom, your God-given rights, for a false sense of protection, safety. All right. Anywho,
you can get infected.
Okay. So this is going to be Dr. Fauci, the CDC doctor. Listen to what he's saying. Pay attention to the wording. Let's go.
You can get infected with relatively few symptoms, either asymptomatic or mild, relatively trivial symptoms. But then you can infect another person who would then infect a vulnerable person who would then die. I mean, it's a typical example. I'm young, I'm healthy, but you go home, you infect grandma, grandpa, and your sick uncle. So you have a responsibility, not only to protect yourself, but you almost have a societal, moral responsibility to protect other people. Trump has a good point.
Now let's play this back again. Play back again.
You can get infected with relatively few symptoms, either asymptomatic or mild, relatively trivial symptoms. But then you can infect another person who would then infect a vulnerable person.
What the hell? Oh, snap. What's going on here? Oh, my goodness. I don't know what's going on with the phone. Hold on, y'all. Let me fix this because this is weird. My phone just resetted itself. It froze and resetted itself. Now look, this is a new phone. I didn't even turn it on yet. All I did was just hook up the Wi-Fi to it. That's it. I didn't even turn it on yet. All I did was just hook up the Wi-Fi to it. Someone got me this phone, right? But anyway, he says you can get infected and pass it on to someone else who passes it on to a vulnerable person. What is a vulnerable person? Someone with weak immune system. Like a friend of the family's husband got sick the other day, right? She's a recovering cancer patient. She just finished her last trials of chemo radiation therapy. Okay? He's sick. He has the flu. She's not supposed to be around him at all, but it's just them two. Okay? If he's sick and she gets sick because she just finished her last trials of chemo, him having the flu or the flu version of COVID-19, she can get sick and die from COVID-19 because she's vulnerable. Then he mentions the elderly. They too are vulnerable. Then he mentions the young, which are like the babies. They too are vulnerable. So if you are a recovering, if you have AIDS and you're on the AIDS on the HIV treatments, if you have cancer and is a recovering and is recovering from cancer, you're vulnerable. If you had bronchitis and was being treated for bronchitis, you're vulnerable. If you have what is it called? What's that disease called where it just starts tearing away at your skin? It tears away at your skin. It makes your skin real light. Your hair start falling out. God damn it. I forgot the name of it. And my aunt has it. God damn. But anyway, you'll be vulnerable. Lupus. If you have lupus, you're vulnerable. These are the folks who are vulnerable to these diseases. Now they're saying that over 4,000 people passed away from this virus, right? But the flu killed over 8,000 last year. Okay? And mind you, it's the same thing. When you look up the history of the coronavirus, the many different strains that they're speaking of, the flu is also one. Now, I'm turning on back the phone and I'm going to play the other audio for you guys. All right? And it's loading up right now. Yes, lupus. If you have lupus, you're vulnerable. Now we're gonna play. This is from this doctor here. This is Dr. Sherry Fink. And this is when she was on MSNBC. I'm telling you, when they speak, they let so much slip. Sometimes they let so much slip, and sometimes I feel like it's purposely to give you a heads up. And she did let something slip. Right? Give me a sec here. Find her recording.
Of the federal government and the federal leadership. Sherry Fink, how much time did the Trump administration have to get ready? When did the early warning go off for them?
I think it was early January when the reports came out of China that there was this suspicious cluster of pneumonia cases and that the likely culprit was a new coronavirus. Coronavirus being the type of virus that has caused MERS and SARS, those other.
So what she just said, let's back it up. A new coronavirus, right? And then she said coronavirus that has caused MERS and SARS. And where MERS and SARS go, the flu goes, the common cold goes, tuberculosis goes. Bronchitis goes.
Federal leadership. Sherry Fink, how much time did the Trump administration have to get ready? When did the early warning go off for them?
I think it was early January when the reports came out of China that there was this suspicious cluster of pneumonia cases and that the likely culprit was a new coronavirus. Coronavirus being the type of virus that has caused MERS and SARS, those other bad outbreaks in the past. So we heard about it in January. We had that sequence of that virus. I think it was January 10th. And that's when, around the world, there were efforts to start to make the diagnostics that we're talking about.
You can't make that up. You see what I'm saying? When they speak, they make a lot slip. You just have to pay attention to detail of what it is that they make and slip. So she's letting you know that MERS and SARS is the coronavirus. Okay? And in the information that I shared with you guys in the live that I did last week, when I showed you the documentations, matter of fact, let me get the link to that live, and I'm going to drop it in here for y'all right now. Let me get that link. But I pulled up the information where it showed that influenza and even the common cold is a strain of the coronavirus. So when you're getting tested, you don't know. You don't know. They don't know. They don't know what strain you have because the test is not 100% accurate. Give me a sec, y'all. I'm trying to get the link for the other video. All right, the video is called "It Has Begun: Facts and Opinion. Human Coronavirus NL63." That's one of the first strains of the coronavirus, the NL63. Okay, and that goes back to the 1960s, beyond the 1960s. All right, let me get this link. There we go, and let's put it in the chat. There goes the link. The link should pop up in the chat right now. There it goes. So that's the link to that video. Okay. So the moral of the story is, in my opinion, get back to nature, man. Get back to nature. Get prepared. Be very prepared. Understand that this is also a psyops on so many different levels to keep you distracted. What the information is showing, what the evidence is showing that I've been researching and been showing you guys, this is radiation poisoning that has been going on for about 100 years. Okay? And you're seeing the results of it. And these towers, 3G, 4G, 5G, are boosters of what is already in the atmosphere. When you're seeing all these fires of the forest being burnt down, all these areas that has great amount of trees being burnt down, remember the job of a tree that is natural to its environment is to filter out toxins from out the air, the atmosphere. So they burnt down all these forests, and they kept, because remember, in the wild, nothing goes to waste. If a wolf or a lion goes hunting and they take what they want from a carcass, the vultures then come down and take what they want from the carcass. Then the insects comes down and take what they want from the carcass. And then the earth absorb what is left of the carcass, and everything is used. So when they burn down all these forestry so that they can let the poisonous gas that they've been spraying in the air, aka also what is disguised as chemtrails, because that's the only way they can spray it in the air is by plane. When they spraying it in the air and they burnt down all this forestry, it's so that the trees can't suck up and absorb and filter out the air so that it can spread more smoothly for them. And when they burn down all that land, they're going to build businesses and condos on top of it because nothing goes to waste. They capitalize on everything. where is the mass arrest of the folks that were in charge of these power plants? The Indian Point power plant, the Miami power plant that was leaking for over 15 years in the water supply. It's just like there hasn't been any arrest for Flint, for Louisiana, for New Orleans. None. Which makes me to believe that I don't think they're doing any mass arrest of anyone around this world. 219 CEOs stepped down in January. And the reason why those 219 CEOs stepped down, and the reason why Bill Gates stepped down off of the board of Microsoft, is because this economy has been tanked. Okay? This economy is done. The smokes and mirror that they've been showing you for over 70 years has come to an end. The people that they owe aren't playing anymore. They want what is owed to them. And if they can't give them all the land, they're going to give them your birth certificate, because that's a treasury bond. And that's what China's buying up, treasury bonds. Pay attention. Majority of the bodies, they say in Italy that they were of the elderly. Okay? You gotta remember, man, all these corporates, these elitist families, they all come from one source. They all been working together for centuries. And then they have their times where they fight against each other. And you're seeing that all play out right now. They're at odds with each other. Some tend to go extremely overboard. Some tends to just want to go to this distance, but they don't want to go extremely overboard. So when you're seeing these National Guards, these Coast Guards, they're here for you. Well, they can't. What are they going to do? They're going to shoot the virus? No. In my opinion, they're here for you. Or they could be here for, say, if they say, well, the people stand up and China can't get what's fully owed to them, or Russia can't get what's fully owed to them. And they said, all right, forget this economical shit. We're just going to come straight out and attack you. Right? But I'm just going from what my eyes are seeing. They're limiting travel. They've limited travel. They've delayed subways by hours. If not by hours, they just stopped making the trains run. So those who were dependent on public transportation to get from point A to point B, you can no longer depend on it. So that means they're trying to leave you stranded and stuck where you're at. They were pulling over drivers leaving from New York to go to Jersey, which they're not supposed to be doing. It's unlawful. It's illegal. And Cuomo says that he never told them to do that. He came and said that he never told them to do that. Okay? So pay attention. So many levels. Could we keep the people away from each other? How could we introduce the new wave of the electronic era? All schools are closed, but you still got to go to school on the internet. Huh? How can we monitor this economy? Because remember, anyone could have came and made a channel on YouTube and hit a great amount of followers, and on Instagram and hit a great amount of followers just by a hashtag and get paid crazy off of it. And now they hit you with an algorithm where that all that shit is cut out unless you were already grandfathered in into these systems. And then even some of those who are grandfathered in, they hacking the hell out of their stuff and deleting their entire platform. So if you were dependent on that income of coming in, it's no longer coming in because their jobs is to tank the economy. Period. And they have to keep you poor and down so that when the new ruling power comes in, that they could turn you into their working class slaves. Now you're getting the history of slavery when y'all talking about the slave boats and the chains and the slaves. Every history repeats itself. The creator of all creation sources gave you all the tools you need to save yourself. So don't look for no magical savior to come save you. You have the tool within yourself. It was given to you from before you were conceived. It is in your DNA. Right? I say the Most High Great Spirit, gave you the tool you need to save yourself. It's just that some folks paid attention and some folks didn't pay attention. That's it. Some people say, well, does this have to do with public and private? Well, when they're poisoning the water with radiation, they didn't care about public and private. They were poisoning everybody. Period. When they were spraying the chemtrails in the air, they were spraying everybody. So you can't say, well, I'm going in the private sector to escape the chemtrails, to escape the tritium that's in the atmosphere, to escape the krypton that's in the atmosphere. No. This is why I'm saying you have to come well, you don't have to. This is why I'm saying this is something that's affecting people on a worldly level. Okay? So the distraction of racial discrimination and hating each other, you're only doing yourself in. So when I say that you already have the tools, you were given compassion, you were given love, you were given forgiveness, you were given how to stand your ground, you were given how to defend yourself, you were given how to unite, to be on one accord with like minds and individuals. You were given these tools. They're within you naturally. Naturally. You should know how to identify good from bad. Now, in the economical sense, it's good to operate on the private side. It's good to know how to operate public and private. Okay? But environmentally, when you're being poisoned, they did not care if you were operating in the public or the private. They were spraying everybody. It's like when a dog goes out in nature to go piss, he cocks up his leg and he pisses wherever he feels. Period. Everybody was getting this. Everybody. Right? So, it's like, again, public and private has to do with not only economical stuff, but just by being able to travel freely on the highways and byways. But when it comes to your health, as far as the poison in the water and the poison in the air, there's nothing in the private side that's going to save you from that. Okay? Nationality, all of that goes out the door, out the window. Because like I said, when they were spraying, they sprayed everybody. Moors got sprayed. Jews got sprayed. Christians got sprayed. Rastafarians got sprayed. Folks from the mainland got sprayed. Folks from the island got sprayed. Africans, Russians, Germans, Chinese, Indonesians, Filipinos got sprayed. Everybody got sprayed. That's a fact. I'm telling y'all, wake up. Wake up. Now, if you're this is the perfect time if you're operating public and private to acquire assets, land, business, right? Situate yourself, your documentations, and so on and so, right? I had a wonderful time the other day when I went down to the county clerk. Wonderful. You know, it's good where when you segregate yourself from certain things, entity, and you're able to put yourself into a space where you can come back from all the stress that was hitting you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and you're coming and you could bring yourself or coming back to bringing yourself back to the proper mindset of how you were supposed to be in, because then you're able to start making moves how you're supposed to make moves and start being able to see things clearer or more clearly also as well, right? So, that's just for also those who um were going through any form of depression, right? Because depression will also make you feel guilty for stuff that you should have never even been feeling guilty for as well. Depression will also make you forgetful, make you segregate yourself from the public, like a lot a lot of things. So once you get time to really reflect back and start socializing back within the environment, around you and beyond you, and even get time to travel and time to do certain things and rebuild back your mindset and your spiritual, you get to come back to see things clearly for what they are, you know, in your field of vision, in your field of vision, right? So, yeah, like I said, get back to nature, learn how to grow at least some simple herbs, even on your kitchen window, you know. Um, if you're gonna plant stuff in your yard, if you live in an environment where it has winter season, make sure that you're planting stuff that regrows itself when the springtime comes in. Okay? And all you have to do is just till the soil, make sure there's nothing growing in the vicinity that will take away any of the nutrients from what it is from your food source, and make sure the squirrels, the rodents don't get at your stuff. Okay? Right? Well, I mean, this might be my last year in any form of winter weather because I'm making a move to go tropical within this year. Everything's already lined up already. We just have to also be thankful. Don't forget to be thankful. Don't forget to um give a prayer for not only yourself but for also others, for nature, for the spiritual. You know, give thanks as much as you can to the Great Spirit, to the Most High Great Spirit, right? I find myself saying spirits because I believe in a patriarchal and matriarchal energy source, right, of creation. So, that's what it is for me. And yeah, that's what it is. So, what I say to you all, man, is just stay safe, be aware, and stay in tune to what's going on out here. Okay? Like, if your spiritual is not strong, man, you have to strengthen yourself spiritually and mentally. And a part of me just resurrected back a part of me that I had slipped away, where I just don't I just stopped giving a shit about certain things that's not needed to give a shit about, and focus on what's more important. You see what I'm saying? So I start toughening up and tough skin, you know, and make yourself very spiritually strong, because you got other folks out there who are spiritually strong, who can emit spiritual attacks upon you, you know, who can make you fearful, and fear is one of the big reasons why a lot of these people think that they're even infected with this and that, and they're not. It's all paranoia. But again, my advice is just get spiritually strong and start understanding nature, right? Because when I make my travels from here, where I'm at, where I'm going, uh, I'm going around some brothers and sisters that know how to hunt in the wild. Okay, and this is my clan, my blood kin, my family. You know, so this is why I tell folks, man, and I'm still taking more time to mend and to make the bond between me and my family stronger, because that's my tribe. Whether they believe in certain things or not, I learned to respect other people's boundaries and belief of what they believe in. Period. Doesn't matter if I like it or don't like it. Okay. I have a lot of military people. I have a lot of wildlife people, doctors, and herbalists in my family. You know, and some of my family I was close with, and the rest I was segregated from for years. And I just decided, like, enough is enough. Someone has to be the bigger person here, and even if it's me, and I reached out, I traveled, went to go visit, because the passing of my uncle taught me something, right? It taught me something, taught me a lot. Because me and that uncle, he was only like a few years older than me, and we've been through a lot together growing up. Yeah, so it taught me a lot. So get as close to your family as possible, y'all. Make amends with your family. Before you make amends with anybody else that's not blood to you, you make amends with your blood first, right? Because sometimes you make amends with some folks that's not blood to you, and they turn around to, bite you in the ass. Well, kick you in the ass. Let's just say as well. And then you make amends with some that is not blood to you, and it's cool. You see what I'm saying? It was the right thing to do, and you realize that you know certain little things is what was getting in the way of y'all building. But anyway, y'all, I'm out of here. Peace. Much love to you all. Stay safe. Um, get back to nature. Build your spiritual. And I wish nothing but safety for you, your loved ones. You know, and I will pray for you guys. Just like I pray for the whole world and everyone in it. All right. So, yeah, much love to y'all. I'm out of here.